So, have you been podcasting and not getting any traction, or feeling like you're not growing, or feeling like you're not getting the results? That's what we're going to talk about in this episode. Let's talk about it. I've been podcasting, Angie, I've been podcasting for 5 years. I don't feel like I'm getting any traction. I feel like a failure. Let's talk about it in this episode. Stay tuned. Okay, so I was actually scrolling these fine apps as I do on a normal day, and I'm in a podcaster support group. And in the group, there is this post that says, I've been doing a podcast for nearly 5 months now. It's basically a full time job and it's not gaining any traction, which is giving me serious imposter syndrome. Sad face. So, what do I have to say about this? There's a couple comments on the post that say, what are you doing to promote it? What's the podcast about? It's now a very crowded and competitive space. Do all you can to enjoy the ride and push yourself to be better. What are the goals with your podcast? That's a good question. Okay. Um, that's the most natural feeling in the world. 5 months is nothing in the grand scheme. It takes time and effort to gain traction. All things aside, congratulations. At least you've done it for 5 months. Yes. So I agree with all of this. And especially there's another comment that says the marketing is a whole other part time job in itself. Podcasting can be very grueling. This is true. Now, I will say the caveat to this is that in this group, it's just for podcasters, not necessarily people who have their business and who are trying to use their podcast to market their business. So it's a little bit different. It's for people who are trying to make podcasting a business or make their podcast into a business and make money from it. So it's a little bit different than you who might be listening to this right now, but there are still things that we can learn from this. And so I do want to talk about some of these things because this is so common, whether you are doing this for your business, whether you're doing it for as its own business. A lot of people get to this place where they feel like the shit just ain't happening that they want to be happening with their podcast. Oh, I like this one other comment. It took Jay-Z 7 years to become an overnight sensation. You hear that a lot. Like, yes, I'm an overnight success and it took me 13 years to get here. So, number one, it is going to take more time than you think. That is just period. Okay. If you're going to start anything, this isn't just podcasting. If you're going to start anything, not just podcasting, but anything, right? It is going to take time. Any platform that you start on, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on TikTok, whether you do podcasts, whether you go all in on Instagram, all of the shit is going to take time. And it's probably going to take more. It's probably going to take more time than what you feel comfortable with. It's probably going to be harder than what you anticipated. Okay. I know that there has been this, I've seen it before. It's like this meme of this guy with an ice pick, like picking away at the tunnel, right? And then he gives up right before he gets to what's behind the wall. And it shows like he was right there if he would have just kept going and then he would have got his treasures or whatever. Right. And that's a perfect description or depiction. It's a perfect depiction of what it's like to keep going after your goals. Right. So, number one, it's going to take more time than what you think it is. That's just the guaranteed thing. So you have to have patience when you're going into this. You have to understand that number one, you have to learn this new craft. You're not going to be amazing at it, right? When you start, you're just not. It's just not reality. You're going to have to learn. You're going to have some trial and error. You have to work out the kinks. Nobody steps behind the microphone and knows exactly how to make their podcast as biggest, best success ever without going through some things or figuring some things out. So number one, you're gonna have to figure some shit out. Okay. And you're gonna have to figure some shit out. I guess that's number two, because number one is it's gonna take time. Number two is you're not a fucking expert. You're gonna have to learn how to do things and get better at it. If you are not actively trying to get better, you need to put some intentionality in trying to get better. You need to look at your numbers. You need to look at your content. You need to examine how can I actually get better at doing this because you can get better. It is a skill. It is a skill. So it's a skill in your content, how you format your show. It's a skill, how you market it. Like all of that is skill that you can learn. So, number one, if you're feeling in this place, it's going to take more time than you think it's going to take. So, drop the time frames, drop it. Focus on habits and the things that you can control and staying consistent. Okay. And having fun. Focus on that. Number two, it's a skill that you can get better at. Hone your skill, learn your craft, actually put some intentionality behind getting better because it just exists. You can get better and you should be trying to get better. Okay. And then number three, you do have to know what your goals are. You have to know what your goals are and what it is that you're trying to accomplish with your podcast and really stay focused on that. You have to focus on what it is that you're trying to do. If your number one goal is to get volume, you're going to approach that goal differently than if your number one goal is to just like use it in your business and nurture people, whatever, right? So you do have to know what your goals are and how to approach the strategy for that goal. So those are the things that you need to remember when you're in this situation. Number one, it's going to take more time than you think. Number two, you actually have to hone your craft, learn how to do the things. And then number three, like you really need to examine, are you doing everything that you possibly can? Like, how important is this success to you? And are you doing everything that you can? So if you're not tracking your data, if you are not trying to get better, like it's like get honest with yourself. Are you actually talking about your show? If I come over to your social media, will I even know that you have a show? Have you optimized it for SEO? Have you optimized it for the podcast apps? Like, have you done these things? Again, these are things that you can learn and you may not even know about, but have you done the things that you could be doing? Are you tracking what's happening? Like, are you even paying attention? Are you even doing everything that you can do? Have you reached out to people to get reviews? Have you asked for support? Have you done collaborations? Are you getting on other podcasts? Have you maximized your content? Are you promoting it all the time? Are you re-promoting it? Like what things have you actually tried and tracked and saw what worked, what didn't work? Are you really doing everything that you can possibly do to make this grow? Again, this goes back to your goals and what your priorities are. Most of the time, people's podcast is on the fucking back burner. It's the least of their priorities. And then there's a shock that it's not growing the way that they want it to grow, but never talk about it. Never even try to share it. There are ways to grow it that, social media is not actually the best way, but at least you're trying everything. At least you are putting yourself out there and doing all the things that you should be doing to try to get the growth. But if you're doing nothing and expecting things in return, it just doesn't work like that. So, here's your plan going forward. If you're not getting results, here is what you need to do. You need to chill out. You need to give it some time. You need to just resolve in your mind, this is going to take more time than what I think. Okay, cool. Then you need to get plugged in to a source to be able to learn. I have a community. It's $10 a month. You can come in and be in community, ask questions, learn. Let's talk about your content. Come to a coaching call, go through the course, learn. Okay, you need to prioritize learning. Number three, you need to prioritize being consistent and doing everything that you can do in your power to actually make it grow. Everything that you know as of now. Yeah, we're going to work on our knowledge, but you need to be doing the things that you already know. You need to be doing them consistently. If you're just putting out one podcast episode and then going dark for 3 and 4 weeks at a time, and then another episode, like nobody's going to follow that, right? Like you have to go first. Like building community, building a Facebook group. People always want people to show up and be in community and do this, but you don't even show up and you're not even in community. So like, what do you expect? All right. So adjust your expectations. It's going to take longer. Get plugged into a place to learn and grow and then implement like it's nobody's fucking business. Implement like you want what you say that you want. Okay. Okay. I'm glad that we went over this. So I will see you next time in the next episode. Until then, mwah. And come over to my Instagram at Angie M. Jordan and say hi to me and tell me you listened to this episode. And then tell me what you're going to do in your podcast to make it grow in the next 5 months. Okay. See you soon.